All right, so we're going to skip around a little bit today. In our new lesson, we're taking percents and we're changing them to fractions and changing fractions to percents. So we're going back and forth between percents and fractions. And then on the back, we're going to practice going back and forth with fractions and decimals again, okay? For the first part, it says we want to write each percent as a simplified fraction. So first of all, and Chris, if you'll put that away right now, okay? So first of all, guys, I want to talk about percent. What are all percents out of? Like, what is it that makes a percent special? What is every percent going to be out of? Price? 100. Y'all agree with that? So what that means for me as far as a fraction goes is for every percent, when I set it up, the bottom number is going to be 100. So, for example, on this first problem, it's 85%. So I'm going to put 85 on top. And I'm going to put 100 on the bottom. Now, it might not stay a 100, but my first step is always going to be to put 100, okay? If you're done with that, Chandler, you can put it on my chair. All right, can 85 over 100 simplify? Yeah, we can divide them by 5. So 85 divided by 5 gives me 17, is that right? And 100 divided by 5 is 20. Okay, so there is my simplified fraction. Right. So that's easy enough because 85 was a super easy percent. So let's look at the one below it. So I want us to look at the 3.8. I'm still going to put 3.8. And on the bottom, I'm still going to put 100. Guys, have I done anything different so far? No. But y'all agree that doesn't look good, does it? That does not look good. It looks like something is wrong because we still need to do one more step, okay? I cannot have this decimal in this fraction, so I'm going to move my decimal over one place. Now, we know with fractions to keep it balanced, if I do it on the top, I need to do it on the bottom. So I'm also going to add a decimal place on the bottom, and what am I going to put in that place? A 0. So I actually end up with 38 over 1,000. Now, can I simplify that? Yeah. So I can divide them by 2. So 38 divided by 2 gives me 19. Is that right? Over 500. All right. Can I make that any smaller? Don't believe so. So we're going to leave it just like that, okay? All right. You'll notice I'm not even really needing to use a calculator unless you need to do that simple division step. Okay? Are there any questions about that? Yes. So I can't have a decimal here. I have to move it one place over. For my top and bottom to stay the same number, or for my fraction to stay the same, if I do it on the top, I have to do it on the bottom. There wasn't a decimal to move over, so I just moved that backspace and add a 0. Does that make sense? So we're just adding a place value. Yes?
Why couldn't we have just divided by 42 or something?
Because it's not always going to be an easy decimal to tell. All right, it's not always going to work out like that. So in fact, let's look real quick, guys. I want us to move down to number 5 real quick. So for number 5, I have 95.1. And I'm going to put that over 100. It's always over 100. Now, can I leave it like that? No. I'm going to have to move my decimal over one place. If I do it on the top, I have to do it on the bottom. So I end up with 951 over 1,000. Okay. Guys, can I make that any smaller? Can I simplify that at all? No. Do I want those arrows in my answer? So all I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to rewrite my answer to make it look neater. 951 over 1,000. And that's going to be my answer. Okay. So you see why I don't want to try dividing by decimals. It's actually easier just to move it. Okay. All right. There's one other funky one that I want us to look at. I want us to look at number 7. So as I said, we're going to kind of skip around so we can make sure we get an example of every special type of problem. So for number 7, I'm going to have 155. What am I going to put on the bottom? 100. Every single time we're starting with that 100. All right. Is there anything wrong with this fraction right now? Chris?
The top number is a bigger number than the bottom.
The top number is a big number. That means it's improper. And if it's improper, what do I need to make it? Danny? We are going to need to simplify. But what is it that I need to change improper to? Price? A mixed number. Because can 100 go into 155? Yeah. How many times will 100 go into 155? Once. Now, it won't go in perfectly, but it'll go in one time. I'll still have 55, though, left over, correct? So I'm going to change that to say 1 and 55 over 100. Does that look better now? So if you have a really big number, that just means you need to make it mixed. Okay? Price? Absolutely. We definitely need to simplify that still. So my 1 stays there. I can divide these by 5. 55 divided by 5 is? 11. And 100 divided by 5? 20. Okay. All right. Are there any questions about that? Does it make sense, guys, if it's 155%? That's bigger than a whole amount. Like if you made 155 on a test, that means you got everything on the test right, plus some bonus stuff, right? All right, I probably wouldn't give you 55 bonus points, but you see where I'm going with this? So that means they got the whole thing plus this extra part. So 225 would mean I'd have 2 whole amounts and then some other part. Okay, so you'd put that over 100, make it a mixed number. Are there any questions about this first section? Okay, so that's making percents fractions. So now let's look at how to make a fraction a percent. And guys, in fact, to make this easier, we're first going to make our fraction a decimal. And then I'm going to make it a percent. Yesterday we talked about how to make fractions decimals, correct? So let's look at that. So we're going to make it a decimal first. So that means 25 is going to go at the door, and 12 is going to go in the house. Can 25 go into 12? No. So I'm going to add a decimal and a 0. And now I can use my calculator. So typing into my calculator, 12 divided by 25. Make sure we raise our decimal up to the roof so we know where it goes. 12 divided by 25. What's that going to give me? Macy? 0.48. I'm going to end up having to add a 0 there. All right, so far that's what we did yesterday, correct? Okay. To change a decimal to a percent, the way that I like to remember that, if I'm changing it to a percent, then I need to move up 2 places. If I'm changing it to a percent, then I need to move up 2 places. And what I'm talking about there is the decimal. All right? Now, guys, obviously we're not going like up and down vertically, but I'm going left and right. Which would be up? Going left backwards or going right forwards? Going forwards, correct? Do you all agree with that? So I'm going to move my decimal up 2 places. And this is going to matter because tomorrow we're going to change percents to decimals. And if I'm changing it to a decimal, which direction do you think I'm going to go? Down 2 places. So if I'm making it a percent, I move up. And then tomorrow we make it a decimal, we're going to move it down. All right? So let's move this up 2 places. 1, 2. So what do I end up with? 48%. Okay? We okay with that? Yes. Okay. All right. I want us to look at number 17. Okay, so again, I'm going to just focus on that fraction for right now. So I have 8 at the door, 6 in the house. Can 8 go into 6? No. So I'm going to add a decimal and a 0. All right, and this is where we type it into our calculator. Now, Chandler, I know you weren't here yesterday. Once we write this down, this is just so if I didn't have a calculator, I could work it without. I could do long division here, right? But since I can use one, you're going to type this in. 6 divided by 8. Look back at that fraction, okay? What does 6 divided by 8 give me, Emma? Say that again. I think you typed in 8 divided by 6. So make sure you type that 6 in first since it's on top. Emma? I'm sorry, Kinsley? 0.75. So I'm going to add a 0 there. Okay. So 0.75 is good. Is that the only thing I need in this decimal, though?
No.
What do we?
Need to add the 3.
This 3. We still got to make sure we keep the 3 there. Okay. Now do I have my decimal? Yeah. To make it a percent, we're going to move it up 2 places. Are we good with that? So we're going to go over 1, 2. So I end up with 375%.
Oh, you're moving the decimal.
Yeah, we're moving the decimal to the right. So we're making it bigger. Did y'all notice that? We're moving it up. We're making it bigger. Okay. All right. I want us to look at number 22. I know, again, I'm going to skip around a little bit, okay? Number 22, and then we have one more that we're going to look at together. So for number 22, I have 15 at the door and 3 in the house. Okay. Can 15 go into 3? No, so I added my decimal and my 0. All right. So now I can type into my calculator. 3 divided by 15. What do we get, Rubian? 0.2. Okay. Is there anything else that needs to go with this decimal? Any number in front or anything like that?
No.
Okay, so now we need to move to make it a percent, we're going to move over twice. We're moving up. So I'm going to move it once and 2. What do you think I'm going to have to do to that empty spot? We're going to add a 0 there. So when I write my answer, I'm going to add a 0 next to that to make it 20%. Are we okay with that? Okay. Last one that we're going to do in this section is number 26. Number 26. And my first period is going to be really upset because I did not do number 26 with them. And then when they started working it, a lot of them had questions about 26. So I realized, ooh, we're going to go ahead and do that together. All right. So for number 26, I'm going to go ahead and start by putting 9 at the door and 7 in the house. Can 9 go into 7? No. So I'm going to add my decimal and a 0. And now I'm just going to use my calculator to type in 7 divided by 9. Again, this is if I didn't have my calculator, I could know, add your decimal, add a 0, and do long division. Okay, what does my calculator show me when I do 7 divided by 9? What do I get, Josh?
0.7 with a line over it.
0.7 with a line repeating. Do y'all agree with that? Okay. All right, is that the only thing I need in this decimal?
You need a 4.
I need the 4. So this 4, we got to bring it over. Okay. Are we okay so far? All right, what do I still need to do? So now I need to make it a percent. And what are we going to do to make it a percent? Thank you, Morgan, for raising your hand. Move it over 2 places, up. So I'm going to count over. 1, 2. Now you'll notice there's an empty spot. Raise your hand, and Tucker, pick your head up for me. Raise your hand if you can tell me what am I going to put in that empty spot. Think carefully. Chandler? Not a 0. Kayla? A 7. Remember that 7 has a line on it, right? So that means 7 would be repeating. So what's going to keep happening? I'm going to keep getting 7 and then 7 and then and 7 and 7 and 7. Do y'all agree with that? So when I write my percentage, and I'm going to kind of have to move it down here, okay? My percentage, I'm going to get 4. I moved it over 2 places, so I'm going to get 477. Because the decimal keeps going, I'm actually going to keep a decimal here. So I'm still going to, do y'all see where that dot would have been? Right there. So I'm still going to keep a dot there. And what's going to happen after that decimal? 7 keeps going, right? So I'm going to put a 7 with a bar. Remember, guys, you cannot put a bar unless it's in the decimal part. Okay, I'm going to add my percent symbol. Okay, I think you have like 3 more like that I want you to try on your own. But do you see how if it keeps going? That's fine. Still move your decimal over 2 places. Just add that repeating number after it. All right. Are there any questions about number 26? That one was kind of funky. You can see first period it was probably mean of me to make them try it on their own. Okay. All right. I want you to flip it over real quick because you do have the homework on the back as well. On the back, though, it's practicing what we did yesterday. So on the back, we're going to write the following fraction as a decimal. So we're going to set up our division. We're going to do 25 divided into 12. Can 25 go into 12? No, so we add a decimal and raise it up. Add a 0. What is 12 divided by 25 going to give me? Morgan? 48. Put my 0 there. All right, do I need anything in front? No. Do I need to worry about moving the decimal anywhere? No, we're not making percent. This is it. That's all you're doing here. You're not moving it. You're not going any further. Are you okay with that? All right, so Chandler, that's what you missed, and that's what I want to see is that division then with your answer, okay? All right, and then on this part, so this is what we did on Tuesday. We want to make the decimal a fraction. How would I go about making this decimal a fraction? Someone remind me. What am I going to do for that? Danny? I'm going to put 10 under it. 10 under which part? The decimal. So this 2 is in the tenths place. So that would give me 2 over 10. What about that 2 in front?
It's a whole.
It's a whole. You're just going to keep it in front of your fraction. Now, can I leave it as 2 and 2/10? No. Simplify. We can divide by 2. So my whole number stays. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. Okay, so there's just a reminder for what I would want to see on your work and how to set those up. Okay, guys? Are there any questions before we get started? All right. At the back of the room, the answers are posted. So if you have a question about one or just want to make sure you set it up right, the answers are back there. If you have a question other than just, does this look right? Like let's say you look back there and yours does not look right. Okay? Come talk to me and we'll look at it together and see what happened. Remember, guys, make sure you bring your work and your calculator when you come and ask me, just in case we need to type something in or double check it. Okay? I will send out that picture tonight, so if you don't get a chance to check them all in class, I'll send that out to you guys.